Bree is a determined athlete who made a bold change from track running to bobsleigh. This is her story of embracing new opportunities, staying flexible, and turning challenges into success.
I grew up in Victoria, a little outside of Melbourne in a place called the Yarra Valley. And sports was a big part of our culture out in the Yarra Valley. At school, I played lots of different sports, football and downball, played a lot of AFL and touch football. And outside of school, my first sport was horse riding. And then I participated in little athletics from quite a young age. And I did athletics on and off until my senior years before I became an Australian bobsledder. My original dream was to compete for Australia in track and field. But what changed was that I kind of had the realization that maybe I wasn't going to be able to do that in track and field, but I still really had that dream, that burning desire to represent Australia on the world stage and win medals. I just Googled whether we had an Australian bobsleigh team, and at the time we didn't, but they were revamping the team for the 2018 Winter Olympics. So I just signed up to the talent ID camp. And a month later, I went over to Whistler in Canada to learn how to drive a bobsleigh. The first time I went down a full bobsleigh track from the top, and I was so nervous. And I remember getting to the bottom though, and after going down my very first time and just having so much adrenaline, and I was just so excited. And that was the moment that I decided that this is how I was going to achieve my dream of representing Australia on the world stage and at the Olympic Games. Bobsleigh is a really exciting adrenaline-fueled winter sport where the teams race down a narrow, icy track and can get up to speeds of 120 to 150 kilometres an hour. The whole aim of bobsleigh is to get down the track as fast as possible. The women compete in the two women, which is a pilot and a brakeman. They will push the sled at the start. And also the women compete in a monobob event, which is a single person bobsleigh event where the pilot will just push the sled by themselves at the start. It is actually very common to hear that bobsledders have a track and field background because our training is so similar. So for me, it actually wasn't too difficult to transfer from track and field over into bobsleigh. All I really did was add in a lot more weights training because I had to get much stronger than I was when I was a track and field athlete. And I also did find it quite difficult at the beginning to learn the technique of getting our heavy sleds going at the start. So that was something that I had to learn over a few years. In the beginning, I had no prior experience in driving a bobsled. So that was a brand new skill that I needed to develop. I continued to put a lot of time and effort into it. I had the great support of teammates, coaches, staff back here in Australia, physios, dietitians, sports psychs. It really does take a village to be able to develop a high-level athlete, and I definitely couldn't have made the switch from track and field over to bobsleigh without them. I keep my goal in mind and I just constantly remind myself why I am doing this and how I feel when I achieve that goal, because I love the feeling of achieving a goal. It's such an exhilarating feeling. There is always going to be times where you have to change something, where something difficult comes up and you have to push through it. There is also some days where that feeling might not work and you just have to go and do it. You have to be very disciplined when you want to achieve a really big goal. Those days are really hard, but actually they're really rewarding. And I think personally, they're the days that make you a champion.
Now that you've heard Bree's journey and how she overcame challenges to follow her dream, take some time to think about how you respond to change. Sometimes challenges come from change, like starting something new or finding yourself in an unfamiliar situation. You might feel unsure or out of your depth. Some challenges are like speed bumps. They slow us down, but we get over them quickly. Other challenges are like mountains. They are big, and it takes time, effort, and sometimes a change of direction to get over them. Our ability to be flexible and view change as an opportunity helps us embrace the challenges that can arise from change. Think about a time of change and a challenge you faced. How hard was it? Rate the challenge from 1, being very hard, to 5, being not so hard. How did you approach this challenge? What strengths did you show? How did you use these strengths to overcome the challenge? Who could have helped you? If others were facing a similar challenge, what advice would you give them?
When you're in your comfort zone and everything is going well, and then something happens and a change has to occur, that can be really unsettling. But the advice that I would give, and the advice that I use myself, is to just keep going. You may not know what the next step might be, but if you keep going, generally something comes up, and often it is better than what you maybe had before.
Bree's journey shows us that embracing change and staying flexible can help us achieve our dreams, no matter the obstacles. What steps can you take to unleash your passion and keep pushing forward?